real journalism will in fact take place, that these outlets are looking to uncover the truth of the story, because I think the American people certainly have a right to know what is happening with our nation's leadership, although not in leadership in Congress today in the same capacity, but with the Pelosi family. We've been gaslit about what this story has meant for the last several months when it comes to political violence or extremism. And I think there's a lot more to the story here that deserves the chance to be unearthed.
Yeah, so even though she's no longer House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi still rents space, free space, in the heads of conservatives, of which there's a lot of free space, but definitely one, including this Turning Point USA contributor who is sounding the alarm in support of the right's latest conspiracy. Now, her tone is serious, as you saw or heard, but her take really can't be taken seriously. Watch the rest of it.
The case for this lawsuit. Kudos to media for actually investigating and conducting actual journalism, but particularly with the latest development that's trending on social media, that an exorcism was ordered from within the Pelosi house. It begs the question, how much of that is happening on Capitol Hill with our nation's leadership in Washington, D.C.? You know, it's no joke when many people say that there are demonic forces seeking to change our country from the inside out, and that story deserves a chance to be told.
Yeah, so conservatives are out here really convinced that Nancy Pelosi arranged for an exorcism of her home following the violent in-home attack of her husband in October of last year. And this latest conspiracy theory really stems from a New York Times piece that quotes Pelosi's daughter, Alexandra. Alexandra, always the id to her mother's superego, was more blunt. I think that weighed really heavily on her soul in terms of the attack on her father. I think she felt really guilty. I think that really broke her. Over Thanksgiving, she had priests coming, trying to have an exorcism of the house and having prayer services. Now, it's unclear whether Pelosi also actually did have a clergyman who performed a literal exorcism of her San Francisco home, where a man had broken in and beaten Paul Pelosi with a hammer. But that really didn't seem to stop the right from speculating or throwing its resources behind a FOIA request to try to unearth the truth. Cenk, are you thinking that maybe Nancy did invest in an actual exorcism?
Maybe. So it's, look, this when they talk about demonic forces, that's hilarious. I'm gonna come back to that later. But Adrian, I don't know that it's much of a conspiracy theory. Her daughter said it, so you read the quote. I'm curious what you think. I think people are old school religious, right? In a way that is befuddling to me. Like an exorcism of the house. Look, I think that's mental, but a lot of people don't agree with me. And I talked about it on social media, and everybody, both Republicans and Democrats, were like, "How dare you? Exorcism is perfectly normal." I was like, "Really? All right, maybe I'm missing it." So I'm curious what you think, Adrian. Do you think that for some reason that you think they're exaggerating Christine's comment and she was just talking symbolically or metaphorically?
I kind of think so, kind of think not. I'm a proponent of like staging spaces to kind of like have some good juju, so I'm cool with that. The thought of actually having an exorcism, as in getting a priest to come in, as far as I'm concerned, from all of the movies I've watched, it's pretty hard to do because these priests are generally busy, trying to get people to fill the collection plates. But if you actually were to have someone come in and exorcise, you actually need some demons. I don't know. I just think it's kind of a very significant step to take. I know Nancy has a lot of money. I'm sure she's got some friends in a few congregations, so it could actually happen. I just don't think it's worth actually a FOIA request of getting to the truth and trying to subscribe some demonic forces kind of stuff. It just seems more right-wing nonsense when they could actually be focusing on things that matter.
So on those two things, I totally agree. First of all, on the FOIA request, what are you gonna find out if they actually did an exorcism? What would that prove? Like, oh, they did do an exorcism, so she's innocent or guilty? I don't get it, because Republicans generally like that kind of stuff. In fact, when I wrote it on Twitter, Republicans were like, "No way, she did not," because they think like exorcism is good, and Pelosi would never do an exorcism because she's not good enough, like she's not religious enough. I don't know. I can't deal with these folks. Anyways, so if you find out she did do the exorcism or she didn't do the exorcism, how would that affect anything? I don't know. Okay, now to the demonic forces, there are none. It's 100% a figment of people's imagination. There are no like ghouls and goblins. Like, oh, that possessed the house. Oh, look, it's in the chair. Oh my God, it's in the squash. Get it out of the squash. Oh, now it's in the eggplant. Although with the eggplant sometimes. Okay, look, and now I feel bad because a lot of people do believe in that, right? And a lot of Democrats were mad at me, like, of course she had to get the demonic forces out. I'm like, okay, like, look, I don't want anybody to misunderstand anything we're saying. We don't believe any of the insane right-wing conspiracy theories about that attack. It's a rando doing political violence, trying to look for Nancy Pelosi, proven 2,000 times over by the police, okay? There is no effect, there's none of that stuff. If you believe that, I can't help you. I can't help you because you're in a cult. And conspiracy theories now, Adrian, have become the new religion. And that's why when you say like, hey, that's kind of nuts, they get just as offended as religious people when you say that. Because to them, that's their religion. And Tucker Carlson's and Alex Jones, et cetera, they're the new clergy. So I'm not going down, but guys, there are no demons, there are no demonic forces. They're not in your house. And look, I get it. We're all a little like, we all have our own thing, right? There's feng shui. There's, what Adrian was referring to. In the old days, I was religious, and I believe in I don't believe it, but for a long time, like symbology. Oh, what is that a symbol of and stuff? So I get it. I've done your drug. But I swear to you, there's no ghouls and goblins other than Republicans floating around here, okay? Floating around anywhere. It's a figment of our imagination. It's super obvious mythology. Just read any mythology. It's all identical. It's a disturbed man attacked her husband. It was a really bad situation. I feel terrible for them. But you're not gonna be able to get out demonic forces from your house because they were never there in the first place.